Evening and welcome to the City of Petaluma regular meeting of the City Council Petaluma Community Development Successor Agency meeting for Monday, September 21st. Could we have a roll call, please?
Barrett.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
Healy.
Here.
Kearney.
Here.
King.
Here.
McDonald.
Here.
Miller.
Here. So now we'll go to general public comment, and Patrick.
Next speaker is Scott Springhorn, followed by Paul G. So Scott, you may unmute and begin speaking.
Thank you. This is Scott Springhorn. I attest and affirm that the following statements are true, accurate, and within my personal knowledge. We are back talking about the unnecessarily large cellular antenna farm planned for the roof of the Petaluma Creamery. 16 6-foot tall antennas that can pump over 500,000 watts of affected radiated power. That much power deployed in a neighborhood is essentially a weapon system because cell towers that can output that much power are not for telecommunication services. They are for wireless services that have nothing to do with making wireless phone calls, which is the only wireless service for which Verizon or any other wireless carrier has preemption over local authority. You must understand that with the passage of the 2012 Spectrum Act, which was all of 150 words slipped into the Middle Class Relief Act, the FCC wrote hundreds of pages of regulations to implement these 150 words. This is when the FCC dreamed up shot clocks, which is a figment of the FCC's imagination. This legislative intent of the 1996 Telecommunications Act was to not give preferential treatment to the personal wireless service industry in the processing of cell tower applications. In the actual 1996 TCA conference report, which was recognized by the 2005 by the U.S. Supreme Court as federal law, says for placement of a personal wireless service facility involves a zoning variance or a public hearing or comment process. The time period for rendering a decision will be the usual period under such circumstances. It is not the intent of this provision to give preferential treatment to the personal wireless service industry in the processing of requests, or to the subject that requests to any but the generally applicable timeframes for zoning decisions. Other speakers tonight will enlighten you about the 24/7 surveillance and crowd control features that 500,000 watts of effective radiated power can deploy in our residential neighborhood services that are completely able to squash our inalienable constitutional rights to privacy and safety in our own homes. I've expressed no matter of mere concern, but solely matters of substance of fact and law. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the time this evening. I test and affirm that the following is true and accurate from my knowledge. I'm going to give you some information off some slides that we have developed for others, and I'm going to actually send this out to the city council members tomorrow so they can see some of the charts I'm referring to. But all we have to do to understand what's going on is some simple math to understand that what we're talking about should be telecommunications service. That is different than information service. They have specific definitions in the 1996 Telecommunications Act. As of October 1st of 2019, the information service, internet video gaming, is no longer regulated by the FCC. Therefore, the preemption that's part of the Telecommunications Act only applies to telecommunications services. That is only wireless phone calls. So when you do compare the big tower and the creamery, right, we're supposed to cut that to 1,500 watts. Verizon has no interest in that. They want to go 500,000 watts. Well, that's not for telecommunications service. You have to understand how little power telecommunications service actually requires. So it's very simple. I have a chart that I'll show you, but a normal macro tower like we have around town should be something like 200 feet in the air, 2,500 feet away. Well, when the power wafts into where people are, it's enough to give you 5 bars on a cell phone. How little is that? 0.002 radiation units, very low. Now we talk about what's going on even with just a small cell, not even this big one. The small cell, if it's 35 feet off the ground and 60 feet away, well, that's 50,000 radiation units in a bedroom. We measured that in Sacramento. That got these 2 kids sick instantly. They have medical diagnoses. They have problems. Quick math, 50,000 divided by 0.002. That makes that 25 million times higher than needed for 5 bars on a cell phone. So now when you talk about 500,000 watts in a neighborhood, that's not for telecommunication services. That's for something else. And that something else is no good. And it's not actually sanctioned by the Telecommunications Act. That is the crime here against our town. And the only way you can prepare for this and to actually fix this problem is to have some education. We can give it to you. We are subject matter experts. Let us speak 15 minutes tomorrow in your meeting. We'll let you and bring you Andrew Campanelli, the top telecom attorney in the United States, and everything he has to tell you about it. Please let us teach you these things you need to know.
I attest, my name is Kate Bolton, and I attest and affirm that the following statements are true, accurate, and within my personal knowledge. I understand that the M Group is now looking at changes to the Petaluma Wireless Ordinance that was last updated in 2018. We have some suggestions on what to include in that ordinance. Petaluma residents might incur injury from microwave radiation from wireless telecommunication facilities of any G near homes. Our homes and lives are not adequately protected when the ordinance allows the placement of insufficiently regulated 4G or 5G antennas on utility poles very close to homes. Per the 1996 Telecommunications Act, placement is not determined by the wireless industry, but rather by the local government. You must include the words placement, construction, modification, and operations in the purpose of the ordinance, and must add the vertical, horizontal, and power parameters of WTFs. The city has policing power to limit the effective radiated power from the WTFs, the wireless facilities, in close proximity to where people live, eat, study, sleep, and heal. For close proximity WTFs, the applicant must construct only necessary antennas, radios, and other supporting equipment with no chance of exceeding the total of 0.1 watt of ERP from the face of the antenna shroud. This ERP suffices to provide telecommunications service a half mile down the street. 5 bars on cell phone and 3,000 simultaneous calls handled by that WTF. No need to rely on FCC since WTF operations are within your regulatory hands per 47 USC section 332 C7B4. Capping ERP at 0.1 watts provides 4 main benefits. Provides coverage for telecommunication services for about half a mile from the source antenna, more than double the distance of the industry claimed need of 1,000 feet down the block. It does not effectively prohibit telecommunications service, making this regulation legally defensible to wireless industry challenge. It adds some metaphorical speed limits, seat belts, and airbags, the necessary protections that residents need to maintain the quiet enjoyment of streets, part of any city's aesthetic powers, and it complies with all FCC radiation exposure guidelines. I have expressed no matter of mere opinion, but solely matters of substance, fact, and law. Thank you.
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank Councilmember Fisher for her time. It was a very lengthy phone conversation. There's a few things I'd like to point out to you. The first thing, as we all know, this is an election year, and I very highly encourage everyone to vote. We definitely need new blood on the city council. We need people who respond to the public and engage with the public. We need people who is going to hold their staff responsible for their wrongdoing, not condone wrongdoing. When someone at a city council official or a mayor condone wrongdoing, look at the news, look at the destruction that takes place because someone like you have condoned wrongdoing. I'd like to remind you of a couple of things if some of you are not aware of it. What is the supreme law of the land? The Constitution. Then the other thing I'd like to say to you, what is the rule of the law? Everyone must follow the law. Leaders must obey the law. Government must obey the law. No one is above the law. And unfortunately, you have a staff that's been committing wrongdoing for quite some time. And what's worse than that, you have certain members at the city council level who have condoned it for several years now. And I think it's time for them to move on. So I very highly encourage the community, go out and vote. Vote for new blood. Vote for people who care about the community. Vote for people who will engage in community, not to put an act during city council meeting and put a happy face. Try to contact everybody and see the results you get from everybody. I also believe that you need to make your staff more available during the COVID. It's extremely difficult to get hold of anybody. And I don't believe that's the way, even during the COVID, it should be. I don't believe that's what's going on in other cities. Other cities still are shut down, but the staff are responsible to the public. Thank you very much.